Mr. President, I'd like to say a word in response to the speech just given by the senator from Florida, junior senator from Florida. There's something called the American Rescue Plan that President Joe Biden brought before Congress. The American Rescue Plan was his first offering. We'd done things before in light of the pandemic. I remember them well. It was March of 2020. We had the American CARES Act. The American CARES Act was virtually a unanimous bipartisan support of a policy that was written by President Trump as well as members of Congress. We stood together, and I'm glad we did, because we were going into a pandemic the likes of which America has not seen for 100 years. It was a dramatic investment in people, in resources, in businesses to keep America safe through that pandemic, and it worked. At the end of the year of 2020, we had another bill. This bill was about $900 billion to once again help and deal with unemployment compensation, loans for businesses, help for families, ways to help schools reopen. And we voted again unanimously, virtually unanimously, on a bipartisan basis. So in the Trump administration, when it came to coming together as a nation, Democrats stood with Republicans. Democrats even stood with a Republican president for the good of the nation. I was proud of what we did. I can't imagine what America would have been like without it. Then came the election. All bets were off. Everything changed. After the election and the big lie, where President Trump raced around the country, still does, claiming that he truly won the election and having no proof or evidence to that fact, we noticed a souring of this bipartisanship when it came to dealing with the pandemic. And then came the American Rescue Plan by President Biden, the new president, who wanted to address issues that still were troubling America in light of the pandemic. What happened then when we called the American Rescue Plan? Where was the bipartisanship that we'd seen during the Trump years? Completely gone. Not one single Republican senator, including the senator from Florida, was willing to stand up and vote for Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan. Not one member of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives. So what was it that was in the American Rescue Plan that was so objectionable that not a single Republican would vote for it? Well, there were some ideas that turned out to be vital. One of them was to put enough money into the Biden administration so that these life-saving vaccines could be distributed around the United States of America, and people could finally get a shot in the arm and save their lives by it. That was one of the things the Republicans weren't willing to vote for. But it wasn't the only one. We proceeded to give loans to businesses again so that they could open up and rehire their employees. Not a single Republican would vote to support that. And we had $1,400 being sent to each and every family in America, a promise made by President Trump, kept by President Biden, and not a single Republican would vote to support that as well. When you go through the list of things that we did in the American Rescue Plan, they were valuable. One of them was a tax cut for families with children, a tax cut which started just a couple weeks ago. Tax cuts used to be the war cry of the Republican Party. But when it came to tax cuts for children, not a single Republican senator would vote for it, not one. And now they come and they argue, this Joe Biden's plan just isn't working. Well, I'll tell you what is working. We have about 50 or 60% of Americans vaccinated with at least one shot at this point. I hope we have more so we can put this pandemic behind us. And we've done it because we had a plan to distribute this vaccine across America and still do. That was something America needed, and not a single Republican senator would vote for it, not one. I can't understand their thinking on this. They have lots of criticism about President Biden, but when it came to the parts of his program that really made a difference when America needed it, not a single one of them would join us. Wouldn't it be good to get back to bipartisanship, such as the bill that we're going to be debating on the floor? The bipartisan infrastructure bill, which the senator from Florida does not support, he said. This notion of bipartisanship appears to be very troubling and difficult for many of my Republican colleagues. But we have a chance here because 16 Republicans the night before last cast a vote in favor of moving forward to really have an opportunity to do something significant for this country and its economy. An investment in infrastructure is an investment in the future of this country. And I hope that the Republicans will join us to see this completed in the next few days so we can move on to other considerations of elements that might be good in this recovery. But we need their help. And to have Republican senators come to the floor, refuse to vote for the American Rescue Plan, and criticize even this bipartisan effort is a suggestion that they didn't get the message. America is looking for us to cooperate, come together, to solve problems, not just to create political headlines. We'll have a chance, and I hope we do soon, to vote for this bill. I think it's an important bill. It's going to revitalize this country and keep this economy on the move. I yield the floor.